Anton Joseph Tony Cermak was an American politician of Czech origin who served as the mayor of Chicago, Illinois from 1931 until his assassination in 1933. Life: born in Kladno, Austria-Hungary, Cermak emigrated with his parents to the United States in 1874. Cermak grew up in the town of Braidwood, Illinois, southwest of Chicago, and later moved to Chicago. He began his political career as a precinct captain and in 1902 was elected to the Illinois House of Representatives. 7 years later, he would take his place as alderman of the 12th Ward. Cermak was elected president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners in 1922, chairman of the Cook County Democratic Party in 1928, and mayor of Chicago in 1931. In 1928 he ran for the United States Senate and was defeated by Republican Otis F. Glenn, receiving 46% of the vote. Campaign for mayor. His mayoral victory came in the wake of the Great Depression and the deep resentment many Chicagoans had of Prohibition and the increasing violence resulting from organized crime's control of Chicago, typified by the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. The many ethnic groups such as Poles, Czechs, Ukrainians, Jews, Italians, and African Americans that began to settle in Chicago in the early 1900s were mostly detached from the political system, due in part to lack of organization which led to underrepresentation in the city council. As an immigrant himself, Cermak recognized Chicago's relatively new immigrants as a significant population of disenfranchised voters and a large power base for Cermak and his local Democratic organization. Before Cermak, the Democratic Party in Cook County was run by Irish Americans. As Cermak climbed the local political ladder, the resentment of the party leadership grew. When the bosses rejected his bid to become the mayoral candidate, Cermak swore revenge. He formed his political army from the non-Irish elements, and even persuaded black politician William L. Dawson to switch from the Republican to the Democratic Party. Dawson later became U.S. Representative and soon the most powerful black politician in Illinois. Cermak's political and organizational skills helped create one of the most powerful political organizations of his day. With support from Franklin D. Roosevelt on the national level, Cermak gradually wooed members of Chicago's growing black community into the Democratic fold. Walter Wright, the superintendent of parks and aviation for the city of Chicago, also aided Cermak in stepping into office. When Cermak challenged the incumbent Big Bill Thompson in the 1931 mayor's race, Thompson, representative of Chicago's existing power structure, responded with ethnic slurs, "I won't take a back seat to that bahunk, Cermak, or whatever his name is. Tony, where's your pushcart at? Can you picture a World's Fair mayor with a name like that?" Cermak replied, "He doesn't like my name. It's true I didn't come over on the Mayflower, but I came over as soon as I could." It was a sentiment to which ethnic Chicagoans could relate and Thompson's slur largely backfired. The flamboyant Thompson's reputation as a buffoon, the voters disgust with the corruption of his machine, and his inability or unwillingness to clean up organized crime in Chicago, was cited as major factors in Cermak capturing 58% of the vote in the mayoral election on April 6, 1931. Cermak's victory finished Thompson as a political power and largely ended the Republican Party's power in Chicago. Indeed, all the mayors of Chicago since 1931 have been members of the Democratic Party. Mayor. For nearly his entire administration, Cermak had to deal with a major tax revolt. From 1931 to 1933, the Association of Real Estate Taxpayers mounted a tax strike. At its height, ARET, which was headed by John M. Pratt and James E. Bister, had over 30,000 members. Much to Cermak's dismay, it successfully slowed down the collection of real estate taxes through litigation and promoting refusal to pay. In the meantime, the city found it difficult to pay teachers and maintain services. Murder. While shaking hands with President-elect Franklin D. Roosevelt at Bayfront Park in Miami, Florida, on February 15, 1933, Cermak was shot in the lung and mortally wounded when Giuseppe Zangra, who at the time was believed to have been engaged in an attempt to assassinate Roosevelt, hit Cermak instead. At the critical moment, Lillian Cross, a doctor's wife, hit Zangra's arm with her purse and spoiled his aim. In addition to Cermak, Zangra hit 4 other people, one of whom, a woman, also died of her injuries. Zangra told the police that he hated rich and powerful people, but not Roosevelt personally. Later, rumors circulated that Cermak, not Roosevelt, had been the intended target, as his promise to clean up Chicago's rampant lawlessness posed a threat to Al Capone and the Chicago organized crime syndicate. According to Roosevelt biographer Gene Edward Smith, there is no proof for this theory. One of the first people to suggest the organized crime theory was reporter Walter Winchell, who happened to be in Miami the evening of the shooting. Longtime Chicago newsman Len O'Connor offers a different view of the events surrounding Cermak's death. He has written that Alderman Paddy Baller and Charlie Weber informed him that relations between Cermak and FDR were strained because Cermak fought FDR's nomination at the Democratic Convention in Chicago, and the legend that his last words were "I'm glad it was me instead of you" was, according to O'Connor, totally fabricated by Weber and Baller. Author Ronald Humble offers his view as to why Cermak was killed. In his book Frank Nitti, The True Story of Chicago's Notorious Enforcer, Humble contends that Cermak was as corrupt as Thompson and that the Chicago outfit hired Zangra to kill Cermak in retaliation for Cermak's attempt to murder Frank Nitti. Death equals. Cermak died at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami on March 6, partly because of his wounds. On March 30, however, his personal physician, Dr. Carl A. Mayer, said that the primary cause of Cermak's death was ulcerative colitis, commenting, "The mayor would have recovered from the bullet wound had it not been for the complication of colitis." The autopsy disclosed the wound had healed. The other complications were not directly due to the bullet wound. Cermak was interred in a mausoleum at Bohemian National Cemetery in Chicago. The mayor's death was followed by a struggle for succession to his party chairmanship and to the mayor's office. A plaque honoring Cermak still lies at the site of the assassination in Miami's Bayfront Park. It is inscribed with Cermak's alleged words to FDR after he was shot, "I'm glad it was me instead of you." Following Cermak's death, 22nd Street, a major east-west artery that traversed Chicago's west side and the close-in suburbs of Cicero and Berwyn, areas with a significant Czech population, was renamed Cermak Road. Zangra was electrocuted in Florida's electric chair on March 20, 1933, for he could not be charged with murder until Cermak died. In 1943, a Liberty ship, the SS A.J. Cermak, was named in Cermak's honor. It was scrapped in 1964. Family: Cermak's son-in-law, Otto Kerner Jr., served as the 33rd governor of Illinois and a federal circuit judge. His grandson, Frank Jajka, Jr., was with him in Miami when he was assassinated, later becoming a highly decorated UDT naval officer from wounds suffered at Iwo Jima. After WWII he became a physician, and in 1983 president of the American Medical Association. Cermak's great-niece Kajan Cermak is a broadcaster for a Southern California radio station. In popular culture, a hastily produced movie about Cermak, The Man Who Dared, was released within months of his death. Further, there was a made-for-TV movie, The Gun of Zangra, about Cermak's assassination. It was originally a 2-part episode of The Untouchables, where it had the title The Unhired Assassin. Cermak is mentioned in Stephen Sondheim's play Assassins during the song, How I Saved Roosevelt. Cermak and his rise to the mayoralty has also been mentioned in Jeffrey Archer's novel Cain and Abel. Part of the episode Objects in Motion of the television series Babylon 5 is based on the circumstances of Cermak's death. In Philip K. Dick's Man in the High Castle, FDR is killed by not having a Zippo lighter in his pocket, leading into a series of events, including increased American isolationism, that ended in the victory of the Axis powers in World War II, and subsequent occupation of the United States. Cermak is referenced by Kelsey Grammer's Chicago Mayor Tom Kean in several episodes of the Sturts TV series Boss. In Red Team 3, the 7th episode in the 2nd season of HBO's The Newsroom, Will McAvoy references Anton Cermak. The history-based crime novel True Detective, The first in Max Allan Collins' Nathan Heller series, includes a fictionalized account of the Cermak slaying. See also: List of assassinated American politicians. References: Beito, David T. Taxpayers in Revolt, Tax Resistance During the Great Depression. Chapel Hill, University of North Carolina Press, 1989. Gottfried, Alex. Boss Cermak of Chicago, A Study of Political Leadership. Seattle, University of Chicago Press, 1962. External links: media related to Anton Cermak at Wikimedia Commons, Cermak's tomb at Bohemian National Cemetery, The Man Who Dared at the Internet Movie Database, The Gun of Zangra at the Internet Movie Database, Anton Cermak at Find a Grave, Anton J. Cermak at the Internet Movie Database.